Hi friends, I'm Matt Byer with the State Historic Museum of Iowa, and let's talk about our new Storytime activity. This month focuses on Martin Luther King Jr. and civil rights history in Iowa, so let's get started. This month's book is A Sweet Smell of Roses by Angela Johnson and illustrations by Eric Velazquez. This book tells the journey of two young girls joining a civil rights march in their community that is led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As the girls return home following the speech, they are inspired to fight for freedom. Although Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was not from Iowa, he still has a lot of great connections to our state. He first visited Iowa in 1959 and spoke at the University of Northern Iowa, which is then the Iowa Teachers College. Then he and his wife Coretta visited many cities across the state, including Des Moines. His last visit to the state was in 1967 when he visited Grinnell. And today's activity is going to be about making doves, which are a symbol of peace. So let's get started. The materials needed for today's activity include paper plates, tape or glue stick, markers, and a pair of scissors. Let's get started. So the first step for our activity is actually to think a little bit about what we want to see in the world change. So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. helped inspire a lot of change. So what do you want to see change in the world? Think about that and then write it on the inside of your paper plate. So I'm going to write, be kind. Step 2 is to take your paper plate. You see your message inside. You're trying to cover that up. You're going to take your paper plate, fold it in half, enclosing in the message that you wrote. And you're going to close this up tightly. And then our third step is to secure. I'm using tape. You can also use glue. Tape has a bit of a better hold, and you're going to just tape along the edge here to make this half circle shape. So our next step, take the half circle and set it aside because we're going to make ourselves some wings. So you're going to take your second paper plate here and you're actually going to cut right down to the middle. And if you feel like you might need to have to measure it out, go for it. I'm just going to go by what I think is half. Pretty close. Our next step is to attach the wings. So you're going to take your half folded paper plate here and then take your halves that you cut. And what you're going to do is you're going to lay them on the side. So one will go here, attach that with tape or glue. Take the other wing, attach to the other side, and that's your other wing. And what's really, really nice if you do different little varying angles, so it looks like the wings are up and flapping. So our next step is we have to make this look more like a dove. And what we need to do is an eye and a beak. So on each side of your semicircle, take a marker. You're going to make a little circle for your eye. And then a little triangle to serve as the beak. And you're gonna do that on both sides. So now that your dove is done, you can either set this up, it can display, give it out as a gift, or one other option is to actually hang it from your ceiling or from a window. And in order to do that, you're gonna take a paper hole punch. And you're gonna see this little crimped edge on the end. I'm gonna take my paper hole punch here. I punched a hole right there. I'll take some string, hang it up, and you can have a whole flock of doves flying in your window. Adults, while you're doing this activity, ask these questions to help spark further learning. The children in this story heard Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speak. Have you ever heard someone you think is important give a speech? Who was it, and why was the message so important to you? The story describes the girls' journey through their town. What does your town look like? Does it resemble the town in the story? In what ways can children help fight for civil rights? So once you've finished, you can also share your work with us. We'd love to see it. Share a photo and send it to museum.education@iowa.gov to help show us your dove.